Hi everyone, and welcome to the Stitch Sessions. If you guys are new here, my name is Karen and I love sharing my passion for crochet with you all. Now in this week's tutorial, we are going to be looking at how to crochet the elegant vintage lace granny square. Now for those of you that love working on granny squares and granny motifs, this tutorial is for you. It just creates this really pretty airy and lacy square-like effect, which you can use to create many different things. And in fact, I've got one happening here as well. Make sure to save this video because in a little while you're going to see a project that I'm going to create using this exact motif. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek here too. I'm also going to show you how to create half of your motif. So a lot of times if you're doing things in different shapes, like on the side, or if you're just creating kind of different layouts, knowing how to create half of this square is also an important piece of information to have. Now, I'm not going to do it in this tutorial, but there will be another one coming up with this one, so stay tuned. And then I will show you the project I'm going to be creating using this motif. But in the meantime, why don't you leave me a comment down below? Let me know what you think I'm going to be working on with this motif. Or maybe let me know what you're going to be working on. Sometimes some of our crochet friends are looking for suggestions and recommendations on things that they can create. So today we're working on this lovely square. And there are a few slight variations out there on this lace granny square, but I'm going to show you the way I like to do mine. So this one consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. I use a lightweight number 3 yarn, which I would recommend if you want to create this nice lacy effect. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't use a larger yarn. It's going to create a larger motif. So if you're using a medium 4-weight yarn, for example, that's obviously going to give you a much larger square. And it's maybe going to give you a much more like cushy and cozy effect as opposed to something that's light and lacy. So let's just get started. I'm going to show you first the materials you're going to need to gather, and then we're going to start creating our elegant vintage lace granny square. Okay, so the yarn I'm using for this little motif, and you can see I've already gone through this quite a bit, is the True Boo yarn. Many of you know that this is one of my favorite yarns to work with. It is 100% rayon from bamboo. It's a lightweight number 3 yarn, and it comes in 100-gram skeins, which contain 241 yards or 220 meters. Now, I adore this yarn. It's soft. It's got a little bit of a silky feel to it. It's fairly lightweight. The only thing, and you guys know I always bring this up, the only thing that draws me back once in a while is that it is a very splitty yarn, okay? So it just has a very loose spin to it. So that's the only thing, but I actually love the feel of this yarn so much that I kind of overlook it for this particular yarn. And no, I did not plan this on purpose to have the same color nails as the yarn. It just worked out that way. So that is the yarn that I'm using. And I'm going to be using a 4mm hook, which is known as a G or a size 6. Okay, as always, anytime you work on any project, make sure that you have a handy pair of scissors and a yarn needle on hand to sew in your ends at the end. Okay, let's get started on our motif here. Okay, so we are going to begin by starting with a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to start off by chaining 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once you've chained your 6, you want to find the very first chain, and you want to insert your hook and slip stitch to join your chain into a ring. Geez, almost couldn't get that in there. Just like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to begin round number 1, and we are going to chain 3 to begin. 1, 2, and 3. Now, you can count this as a double crochet, but I'm just using it to create the height I need. And I've chosen to ignore this in this particular motif. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we are going to yarn over, and into the ring, we're going to place a double crochet. And of course, I always try and work over my tail as I go. So pull through 2 and pull through 2. And you're going to continue placing a double crochet into the ring until you have a total of 16 stitches. So for me, I'm going to do 16 actual double crochets because I'm ignoring that chain 3. So go ahead and continue placing a double crochet into the ring until you have a total of 16 stitches. Okay, so I have 16 stitches into the circle, so you can see it's creating a nice little pretty effect there. And now what I want to do is I want to close off my round. So I'm going to find the top of that first double crochet stitch. So that would have been the chain 3. See how it gets nestled in there? That's why I don't count it as a stitch. So I'm going to go to the top of the very first double crochet, and I'm going to insert my hook and slip stitch to join my round. You can see how it tends to pick up the other loops there, just like that. So now we have, now you can move that over. Now we have the center of our circle. Now, if you find that the circle is a bit too large for you, you can always start with a chain 5 or even a chain 4 if you like. But in this particular motif, I do like to show a nice kind of airy center to our motif. Okay, let's talk about round number 2. So for round number 2, we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. This time, this will count as a double crochet. And now we're going to chain an additional 2. So in total, you're going to chain 5, and that will count as a double crochet and a chain 2. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go into the very next stitch, and we're going to place a double crochet into the stitch, but we are going to work into the back loops only for this round. So you'll yarn over. Instead of going in through the front, you're going to go down through the top. You're going to pick up that back loop, but I also like to try to pick up that back bottom loop as well. I find that it just helps to fortify the round a little bit. Whoops, so that's the back loop. So that's the back loop. And see that other loop down there? I just like to try and, there we go, pick that up. So it'll just give it a little bit more fortification. Okay, and then I resolve it like a regular double crochet. So you're gonna have something that looks like this. I know it looks like a large gap. This is what we want. And now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to do the same thing into the very next stitch. So down through the center, picking up the back loop and the back bottom loop. See how there's 2 loops there? Trying to guide that through. And double crochet. See, so you're creating always, there's a chain 2 space between each stitch. So you're going to continue repeating this. You will always chain 2 after your double crochet, and then into the very next stitch, you will place a double crochet down and through the back loops and the back bottom loops. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, all the way around. And you should still have 16 double crochets, but then you're going to have these chain 2 spaces in between. So go ahead and do that for round 2, and I'll meet up with you to then take you through round 3. Okay, so I am coming up to the end of round number 2. So your work is looking something like this. And don't worry that it's looking like it's kind of all leaning up this way. That's natural because we're placing extra stitches. So it's just going to create a temporary bunching of the stitches, but that will all work itself out in subsequent rounds. Now I've just done my last 2 chains, and now what I want to do here is find the top of that third chain, 1, 2, 3, and that is where I'm going to slip stitch to join round number 2. Okay, just like that. And that is round number 2 of our granny square motif. Now, right now you're thinking, but it looks like a circle. And you would be correct. So we're going to form a circle for a little while, and then we will shape it into a square. So for round number 3, here's what we're going to do. We are actually going to slip stitch over into that next chain 2 space there. So I'm just going to slip stitch. And now what we're going to do is we're only going to chain 2. 1 and 2. So we are now going to begin creating a cluster stitch. So we are going to cluster 3 double crochets together. And that's the reason why we only chain 2, because this is a partial height for the double crochet, and you'll see why in a moment. So I'm going to begin doing a double crochet again into this space. Okay, I'm going to pull through 2 loops like I normally would, but I'm not going to finish resolving that stitch. So technically that chain 2 counts as one of the double crochet stitches. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin another double crochet and go back into that same space. So I'll yarn over and pull through the first 2. So now I have 3 loops on the hook, and technically these would be 3 unresolved double crochet stitches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So that is our first cluster. So we've just clustered 3 double crochets together. Okay. Next, we are now going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we'll move into the next chain space and place another cluster stitch. So we'll begin with a double crochet. We'll pull through 2 and leave that on the hook. Then we begin a second one, pull through 2 and leave those on the hook. And we do it one more time, yarn over, pull through 2, and leave these 4 on the hook. You will now yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And that creates your next cluster. Then we chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. You're going to place a cluster stitch and a chain 3, cluster, chain 3. Okay? So again, I'm going to place a cluster stitch in here. There's my first. There's my second. And there is my third. Okay? So then I pull through and chain 1, 2, and 3. So I think you get the idea now. Okay? So 1 cluster stitch into each space with a chain 3 in between. Okay, row number 3 is coming to a close. So I've just chained 3. And now what you're going to do is you're going to find the top of that very first cluster stitch right there. And you're going to slip stitch to join your round right there. Okay. So round number 3 is complete. Look at how pretty that looks. Very airy and lacy. Okay, so we've done 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into round number 4. And this is where we're actually going to start to create the corners of our square shape. Okay, so again, we're going to slip stitch into the next space here. So we're going to slip stitch. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and create a cluster like we did at the beginning of the last round. So we will pull through 2 only, and then go again into the space, pull through 2. Now you're going to pull through all 3. This time what we're going to do is we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to go right back into that space and place another cluster stitch. So we've got our first, our second, and our third unresolved double crochet. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4. Okay, so that actually helps to create our corner. I know it looks a bit wonky right now, but you'll see how it works in a moment. Next, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see with every round, we've increased the length of the chain. So for round 2, we did 2 chains. For round 3, we did 3. And round number 4, we are doing 4 chains. You're then going to go into the next space and you're going to single crochet. Okay, then chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into that space, we will single crochet again. And then we're going to do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and single crochet. So remember that a square has 4 corners, right? So we have 16 spaces. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. So basically every side is going to occupy 4 spaces, okay? So the first space here was our corner. Then we have 1, 2, 3 is our single crochets. So technically one side is complete. Now we're going to create another corner. So we are going to start with a cluster stitch. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Pull through all 4 and then chain 6 for your corners. Don't forget, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then back into that same space, we place our other cluster. So there's 1, 2, whoops, see, it's pretty splitty here, okay? And then 3. Pull through. Now we're working down the next side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and single crochet this time. So just to show you, so now you can see these 2 corners are going to stick out a little bit more. Right now it looks like a little bit like Mickey Mouse. So that's what you're going to repeat, right? So you've got your corner, then you've got 3 spaces that will have a single crochet. Into the 4th, you create your corner, which is your cluster, chain 6, and cluster. Then in the next 3 spaces, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, of course, with those chain 4s in between. Then you're going to do your last corner, cluster, chain 6, cluster, and then single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and I'll meet up with you there to close off round number 4. Okay, so here I am at the end of round number 4. I've just chained 4, and I'm going to close off my round by finding the top of that very first cluster stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch to join. Just like that. So right now, if I take this out, you can kind of see now it's taking on a square-like shape. So that's the end of round number 4. Now I like to go ahead and do a 5th round. Not everybody does this with the lacy motif, but this is what I like to do. So I'm going to take you on to round number 5, our 5th and final round here. And we are going to begin by slip stitching into this space here. Okay. Then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to single crochet. Okay. And now I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to maintain my chain 4 spacing in this round as well. Back into this corner space here, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to single crochet. So I've just added a chain 4 on top there, just going to accentuate that corner. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 4, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to go into the next space and I'm going to single crochet. And this is essentially what I'm going to repeat for this round. So I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. And into the next space, I'm going to single crochet. 1, 2, 3, whoops, and 4 into the next space. So every chain space along the side will get the same thing. Just chain 4 and single crochet. Now I'm coming up to my corner, so I'm going to chain 4, and I'm going to go into that space, and I'm going to single crochet. I'm going to chain 4, and I'm going to go back again into this space and chain 4. So that's the only difference, is the corners are going to get 2 single crochets in there with a chain 4 spacing, of course, in between. Then I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and then continue on placing single crochet, chain 4 into every space. Yeah. So that is what you're going to continue doing for round number 5. Into each corner, you'll chain 4, single crochet, chain 4, single crochet, and continue on. All right, guys, so I will leave you to finish round number 5, and then our motif will be complete. Okay, guys, and here I am at the end of round number 5. So I've chained 4, and what I'm going to do is that single crochet we did at the very beginning, remember we went into the corner right away? We are going to just go right into the top of that single crochet, and we are going to slip stitch to join. So great way to check that out. And actually, I'm going to chain 1, and this is where I'm going to snip my yarn. Just like that. So a great way to check too, especially in this last side here, is in the 5th round, we want 5 chain spaces between each corner. See? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where I hit a corner. So this motif is kind of really easy to keep track of. So in round 5, we want 5 chain spaces between the corners. In round 4, so see there's the corners of round 4, we want 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. So kind of really is a neat way to keep track. And that is our elegant lacy granny motif. I hope you found that easier than you thought it was going to be. I know a lot of times when we see these really intricate looking lacy motifs, they can be a little bit intimidating, especially if you're still kind of new to crochet. But really, if you know how to do your double crochet and chain stitches, essentially, you know how to do this motif. The cluster stitch will probably be a little bit of a newer technique, but as you can see, it's not difficult at all to create. So let me know if you have any questions about this motif. If there's something that was not clear for you, I'm very happy to clarify. Make sure to leave it for me in the comment box down below. I know some of you like to email me directly, so feel free to do so. Email me at info@crochetcrafty.com. And I'm very happy to answer your emails. And don't forget, make sure to come visit me on the website, crochetcrafty.com, and sign up for my monthly newsletter. It's absolutely free. And I also gift you a free written pattern every month. And if you're curious about some other written patterns I've got in my Etsy shop, you can find that as well at the Crochet Crafty website. And also, don't forget to come say hi to me. I'm on the socials at Facebook and Instagram at The Stitch Sessions. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this type of project or motif, and you want to see more of these types of tutorials, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and that lets me know that I'm on the right track with the types of projects you want to see on this channel. Now, don't forget, there is a project I have coming up that will be using this motif. And if you happen to be watching this further in the future, I will leave a link to that project in the description box down below. But if you're watching this real time, it is coming soon, so just stay tuned for that. And there will also be a companion video coming up on how to do the half motif as well, so keep a lookout for that. And actually, that reminds me, make sure that your notification bell is turned on for the Stitch Sessions channel, so which means you'd have to be subscribed, of course. So if you are new and you had some fun with me today, make sure that you click that subscribe button and then press the notification bell, because every time I upload a brand new video, you'll be notified, and then you'll find out when this little guy, when I'll have a tutorial up for this guy here, which will come in handy for you as well. Now, I upload every Wednesday morning, so hopefully that'll be a nice way to spend your hump day, so to speak, and check out the new project for the week. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Have an amazing day. As always, I wish you happy crocheting. Take really good care of yourselves. Get out and enjoy the sunshine. And I will see you in next week's session. Bye-bye.